Princess Eridia of the Lithari Dominion stood before a mirror made of crystallized nebula glass, her reflection refracting into hundreds of faint images. Each fragment showed the same expression, composure on the outside, dread on the inside. She could hear the palace ministers bustling beyond the chamber doors, preparing for the grand ceremony. Courtiers shouted orders. Floral drones hummed through the corridors, releasing trails of perfumed starlight, and the wedding orchestras tuned their shimmering instruments. Her marriage to Prince Valen of Drathos would merge two empires and end a century of silent tension between their worlds. It was history. It was duty. It was expected. But Eridia felt as though she were being led to execution, not to union. Her mother, Queen Lithara, entered quietly. She did not wear her crown of void glass thorns today. Instead, she wore a simple silver circlet, signifying family rather than rulership. "Eridia," she said softly, "your people need this peace." Eridia nodded, though her throat tightened. She had never met Valen, not once. Alliances, she'd learned, were rarely about hearts. "Is the escort ready?" she asked, mostly to fill the silence. Her mother offered a small smile. "They are assembling. I approved the final choice myself. You will be guarded with the finest warriors from every allied system." Warriors. The word didn't offer comfort. Not when her heart battled itself. Beginning, a halted promise. By the time Eridia stepped into the grand stellar hall, thousands of spectators filled the tiered galleries. Massive banners bearing interplanetary sigils hung like galaxies frozen in mid-explosion. The air shimmered with holographic confetti and ceremonial light. The priest of constellations raised his luminous staff. "Before witnesses of empire and eternity, we join." Eridia's pulse hammered. She felt as though the walls edged closer with every breath. "Wait." Her voice wasn't loud, but it sliced through the silence like a blade. Conversations froze. Even the orchestral drones descended into stillness. The priest tilted his head, confused. "Princess Eridia?" he asked. I cannot proceed," she replied. "Not yet." Gasps rippled across the hall. Diplomats exchanged frantic whispers. Her mother pressed a hand to her lips. Prince Valen, regal in his blue obsidian robes, stared at her with quiet irritation. Before anyone could speak, a group of soldiers marched down the central aisle, her personal honor guard arriving late due to strict inspection protocols. Their armor gleamed like starlight trapped in ice. Eridia lifted her chin, grateful for the distraction. And there, among the towering alien elites, walked a single figure who didn't match. Broad-shouldered, humanoid. His armor was pieced together rather than polished, scarred but well-maintained. A human. She'd seen humans before. Traders, envoys, explorers. But none who walked like that, steady yet burdened, as though each step echoed unspeakable worlds. The hall murmured in disbelief. "A Terran," someone hissed. "What is a human doing here?" Another questioned. Eridia felt breath return to her chest for the first time that day. Her eyes followed him until he reached formation. He removed his helmet, revealing a face marked by a thin scar across one cheek. His gaze lifted, and for a second, time truly paused. Not because he stared at her like she was royalty, but because his look held something she had not seen in months, recognition of a person, not a political pawn. The priest hesitated. Your Majesty, shall we continue now? Eridia swallowed.
She shook her head. No. I
need to know something first. Middle, the warrior's tale. Minutes later, the wedding hall emptied under diplomatic protest, while Eridia requested a private chamber. Only one person accompanied her, the human warrior whose silent presence had stopped her from collapsing under pressure she could no longer ignore. He bowed stiffly. Commander Rian Holt of the Terran Outer Rangers. Reporting as ordered, Princess. Rian, she repeated, tasting the unfamiliar name. You served the front lines during the Outer Rim fires? Yes. His voice carried the weariness of memory. I fought because I had nowhere else to go. Eridia hesitated, then asked the question that gnawed at her heart. Do you believe in duty without choice? Rian looked up slowly. His hazel eyes held the scars of decision. Duty is never without choice. Someone always pays the cost. The question is who? Her breath caught. Words she'd never been allowed to speak tumbled out. I am being given to someone I've never met. I am told peace depends on me. But no one ever asked if I wished to be the sacrifice. Rian did not flinch or offer platitudes. Instead, he said quietly, Princess, sometimes peace built on broken backs collapses anyway. She studied him, not his armor, not his scars, but the way he neither feared her nor worshipped her. Most saw her as a crown. He saw her as someone struggling. Why did my mother select you? She asked. Rian exhaled. The Queen came to me personally. She said you needed protection from more than assassins. She said you needed someone who remembered what it was like to stand alone in a room full of people. Eridia's chest tightened. Her mother had known, even when Eridia didn't speak. Rian stepped back, as though fearing overstepping. I didn't expect to be seen, he admitted. Humans rarely are among empires this ancient. You are, she whispered. By me. Silence pressed between them, but not uncomfortably. For the first time that day, her heartbeat steadied. Turning point, the proposal of the heart. The Queen arrived moments later, her expression unreadable. Eridia. Delegates threatened to withdraw. Prince Valen demands explanation. Time is running thin. Eridia looked at Rian, then at her mother. I halted the wedding because I could not give my vow while my heart was chained. Her mother's eyes softened. Then what now? Eridia took a breath, strength blooming like a star forming under gravity. I want one chance to choose for myself. If I must marry for alliance, let me first know what I am surrendering. Let me meet the man I am to bind my life to, truly meet him. The Queen considered her words, then nodded. You'll speak with Prince Valen tonight. But, Eridia, do not confuse admiration with destiny. Eridia stole a last glance at Rian. His gaze did not plead, did not hope, but respected. That alone shook her. Climax, before the stars. That night, Eridia met Valen privately in the solarium. He was polite, educated, stately, everything a prince should be. But as they talked, she felt as though every sentence was a script memorized long ago. Valen spoke of trade routes, political gain, territorial balance. Your hand guarantees centuries of stability, he said. It is the logical union. Logic. Duty. Necessity. Not once did he ask what she wanted. Eridia felt the final thread snap.
She rose.
Prince Valen, I am honored by our alliance, but I cannot marry someone who sees my heart as a piece on a galactic board. His face hardened. You would throw away peace for sentiment? No, she said softly, but I will not sacrifice myself for a peace built on silence. Ending. The choice echoing through empires. The next day, before thousands once more, Eridia walked into the grand stellar hall, not as a trembling bride, but as a woman who had made her decision. Reporters whispered. Delegates held breaths. Rian stood among her guard, helmet tucked beneath his arm. Eridia raised her voice. I will not marry today. I will not bind my life to someone I do not know. Not because I seek rebellion, but because peace earned without truth is illusion. Gasps filled the hall. Prince Valen rose in outrage, but her mother extended a hand, silencing him. Eridia continued. I will engage in diplomacy. I will attend summits. I will work for unity, but not as a chained bride. If alliance comes, let it be with choice, not coercion. Then, unexpectedly, Valen bowed. Perhaps, he muttered, I needed to hear that. The hall erupted with noise, some furious, some relieved, some hopeful. But Eridia focused only on one face in the crowd. Rian.
Human. Warrior.
Survivor. Not her fate, but her reminder that she could choose one. She approached him, stopping just close enough that only he could hear. You once said someone always pays the cost. I am done letting it be me. Rian didn't smile, but something in his eyes warmed. Then, Princess, I will walk beside you, not as a shield forced upon you, but as the one you chose to stand near. Her heartbeat steadied, finally her own rhythm. The hall watched as a princess stepped away from the altar of expectation, walking instead toward an uncertain horizon with a human warrior at her side, not as romance, not as rebellion, but as the first step of a life she chose. And in the silence that followed, empires felt a shift of destiny, small, quiet, but unstoppable. Just like the human who had reminded her that hearts were meant to guide, not surrender.